What? Okay. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome back to CYL podcast, the podcast where we help you challenge your limits. I am your host for today, Miracle, and joined with me today we have the lovely and his excellent cloak. He's missing the dagger, but his name is Jay, and we have Debbie as our special guest for today. Debbie, thank you for coming on out of your busy schedule. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, by the way. So,
Welcome.
yeah, I watched the first episode. It was pretty good.
Okay.
The setup was really cool as well.
Yeah. We try.
So, how are you guys, anyways?
Good. How was your week?
It was good. It was great until you guys told me, oh my gosh, it's just so short to get to the studio. I was like, oh, how far is it? 9-minute walk.
Alright.
I'm sorry, but would you see the thing for me a miracle is we just zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
see,
it's like 2 minutes.
I can't walk at that speed.
Mm.
And then at
Fair
one
enough.
point, Miracle was
Fair
like, oh yeah, when we turn around the corner, there's just a little bit of a hill. The hill was like...
Yeah.
And here they were zooming, and then Jude was like, come on, run, the light's gonna... He was like, run, the light's gonna turn red. And then Jay was like, what do you mean run?
We tend to have some jokes.
Yeah, you guys are pretty humorous, I can tell.
Thank you. Anyway, on today's episode, as I mentioned before, we have Debbie. Debbie is a co-founder of Rustcraft, and she's here to tell us a bit about that, but more about her sister Reme, which the foundation was founded in memory of. So, without further ado, thank you, Debbie.
Thank you for coming on to the show.
First of all, tell us a bit about yourself. Like, what's your day-to-day life?
So, I'm a medical student. Currently, I study in Poland, but obviously I also live in Ireland, so I'm kind of like back and forth between the two. Like, literally, like, a plane is like, me and my friends joke about it all the time, it's like a bus journey at this point, because of how frequently, like, we get on them. So yeah, Poland's like, it's nice. It's weird that like 5 years have just come and gone so quick, because I was thinking about it with one of my friends like just last week, and we were like, oh my gosh, half a decade like just gone like that. So
Okay.
yeah, life consists of a lot of exams at the moment, but getting through.
Getting through. That's all we can wish. That's all we can wish for. Strive to achieve the best we can and let the rest handle itself. What are some of your hobbies when you're not studying or in college?
What are my hobbies? I don't know why I always go blank when I hear that question, because I could probably say a lot of things. Like I enjoy reading. Recently I've started like reading a bit more. I used to read a lot when I was like younger, and then I hit a reading block. So I do enjoy reading. Not that I do it much anymore because my keyboard's at home, but I play keyboard infrequently or sing. I have like choir with my friends because we kind of have like our own, I suppose, like, fellowshipping group in Poland.
Awesome.
So we like to sing together. What else? I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. There's nothing out of the norm. I used to play sports, but not that much anymore. So, but Pilates I enjoy actually. Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm just really curious because you mentioned you read books. What are your top 3 books?
My top 3 books
of all time.
Oh, okay, of all time.
Spotlight.
Let me think. I would say The Alchemist by Paul Coelho is great. Yeah, I love that book. That was one of my Leon's turn in the back. The Alchemist is like that's, I don't know where to place it, but it's definitely within the top 3.
S tier.
Pardon?
S tier, because there's like tiers. S tier, B tier, C tier.
Oh, I don't know.
S tier is like the highest.
That's a super.
Do I have to place all 3?
No.
But just it's probably
like,
S tier then. If that's
okay.
yeah, probably somewhere there. I don't know. I thought the book was very inspiring. It's definitely something I would look back and read again to gain like a different experience from it. I think it's one of those books that like when you read it, you might learn something new every time. And I read it when I was also quite young as well.
Okay.
So, but then I would say Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman. That's also, I think loads of people are probably aware of the book, but it's like about like racism reversed. So it's really interesting. It was really unique.
I've actually heard and I've read a bit about that book. Yeah,
it's actually really interesting. Again, I read that book twice.
Yeah.
So when I think I was like 13, and then I read it again when I was like 15 or 16 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would think about it now, and I'm actually too scared to go back and read it again. Although I would really love to, because I feel like I might judge the plot differently now that my mind is a bit matured.
Yeah.
And then number 3. This is so cliche, but I'm gonna have to go with It Ends With Us by I forgot her name. Colleen Hoover. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Yeah. That book. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Never heard of it, but
it's great, but it's there's a lot of triggers in the book, so like I'd be careful with it.
Be warned.
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely,
Yeah. Very, very interesting that you like reading. I also like reading, but I can never sit down and finish a book. Funny enough, I bought a book like in the beginning of last year. From then till now, I only managed to read 1.5 chapters.
To be honest, I feel like
It's
there's
very-
like this whole idea that
very
when you
bad.
get a book, as soon as you get it, you have to finish it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like you can read based on what's going on in your life. Like maybe if you want a bit of comedy, like read something that will give you comedic relief. If you want something that will provide a bit of escapism, maybe like read a romance novel or something.
Yeah.
If you want something that's like self-help, I feel like you could. But I've learned to like jump between books sometimes because I feel like that's such, I don't know. I think you should like not keep so many expectations on yourself with life, and I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Because like constantly expecting to like, oh, as soon as I get this book, I need to finish it is like, that's too much pressure. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like sometimes I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Just take it bit by bit, innit?
Exactly.
I got you. And so you live in, you study in Poland, but you come to Ireland regularly. So I want to know what or who motivates you to do the things you do.
I'd say obviously my family is like a huge motivation. I definitely say to study medicine in particular was 100%. Okay, let me not say 100%, but like I'd say like 80% down to my sister, because my mum was really pushing me to study medicine for a long time. But I was just kind of like, no, like why would I do that? Like I don't want to do that. But yeah, then my sister, when she was in the hospital one year, I was just kind of like, I would love to one day be a doctor that like people like my sister can look at and be like, oh my gosh, I kind of look like her. I kind of have a similar upbringing to her. And she's also here to like, you know, I suppose like a doctor in a way, they give you a sense of like, they should give you a sense of protection and reassurance. And I think it would have just been nice for like my sister to be in a hospital and look at someone and think, do you know what, like I'm really happy to have them. Not that obviously anyone can like treat you and you can be happy to have them, but I just thought that would be nice to be the person that she could see and like speak to, have that type of relationship with. So she inspired me a lot. Like I wanted to be like a doctor for like everything for her. Yeah, so I was just like, I want to be like a surgeon, because she got her spleen removed. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to medical school. I'm going to learn how to remove a spleen. This was before I knew how the process worked. And I'm going to be a hematologist. Now, obviously, all of that has changed, and obviously, I know that you can't really like
Yeah.
do that. It will take you years,
Yeah.
but that is like what inspired me, basically. the
Okay.
most, for sure.
We've known Reme for quite a while now, and I just I just want to know what is the full meaning of sickle cell. Yeah, if you could explain that and maybe just dive a little bit into it.
So, sickle cell. When Rema was like really sick in hospital, most times it was complications of her sickle cell. But sickle cell basically is a disorder of your red blood cells. So your red blood cells have like this really cool like component in them called hemoglobin, and this hemoglobin in sickle cell is basically dysfunctional, so it doesn't work as like your normal hemoglobin. And your red blood cells are like supposed to be like a donut shape, so they're like usually supposed to be like this shape with like a bit of like a dip in the middle.
Yeah.
Exactly. So with sickle cell, because your hemoglobin is a bit disformed, that shape no longer has, it doesn't have that like donut shape. It has like a sickled shape, so it kind of looks like a crescent moon. So that's where it gets its name, sickle cell. And as I said, these are your red blood cells. Red blood cells are in all of your vessels, like throughout your body, from like the back of your eye to the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers. So they're running through these vessels, and these sickle cells are like pretty sticky as well because of the fact that the hemoglobin doesn't function as well. And because they're pretty sticky, they can like clump together. So if a patient is having like a crisis, and a crisis can be triggered by different things like cold weather, stress, infection, for example, then the sickle cells can like kind of clump together, and then that can cause like a lot of pain in a patient, and that's usually termed like medically, it's usually called a vaso-occlusive crisis, but like usually we just call it like a sickle cell crisis. And basically this kind of clumping together, this crisis constantly happening, can cause long-term complications. Like it can affect your kidneys, it can affect your organ, it can affect your eyes, like it can practically affect almost anything, like the vessels in your brain. So it actually really is important that it's treated quite promptly. And yeah, that's basically that's what sickle cell is. It's genetic, by the way. That's probably something I should have mentioned at the start. It's genetic. So like, yeah, a lot of people have questions like, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, can I catch it? It's not like, no, it's genetic. So both parents have to have the trait, and once that trait is passed on to the child, then they have full-blown sickle cell. Or one trait can be passed on, and then they can be a carrier for it. So, yeah.
Okay.
But I should have mentioned that at the start.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No
that
problem.
really helped me understand what sickle cell actually is. You know.
I hope it was good enough explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you like, because me and Miracle, we used to talk to Remy all the time when, we wanted to know how was it like for you seeing Remy growing up. What did she stand for as a big sister and having to go through sickle cell? How did she inspire you?
So I think that's a pretty good question. That's a deep question as well. But I do think that she was just like a ray of sunshine. I think obviously you guys knew her really well. I know that you guys knew her really well because I was disturbed till 3 a.m. in the morning by their group phone calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys know her really well, and she was always laughing, smiling, pretty much like you guys as well. Like, I think your energies are so similar, so I can see why you guys were all pretty close friends. Like, when I see you guys also remind me so much of her as well. Like, just the way that you guys are constantly laughing about certain situations, not taking, things in life too seriously. And yeah, like, she was just, when she walked into the room, like, her smile just lit up the entire room. She was, I don't know, it's just such an inspiring person, like, in everything it was that she did. Even when she was, like, really, really sick in hospital, she always had, like, a huge smile on her face. She was always so cheerful, so optimistic, and so positive. So, yeah, not having, like, that energy and that aura around was so different, and it is still really different, and it's something that you come to terms with some days, and other days it's like you don't really come to terms with it. I'm sure you guys have like your fair share of that experience.
Sometimes it gets like that.
Yeah, I remember she used to always call me an emotionless robot because I never showed, I never, I never, I never till this day, I never show any sort of negative emotion. I'm always smiling, even though that I'm human. I feel what I feel inside. I try as much as possible to not show that, to always have a good mood in a time of crisis. That's why when when people come up to me and say they're sad, like I don't know I don't know what to do because I'm like almost sort of never sad, or at least I don't show sadness, so I wouldn't know how to comfort people in those times. So
Did you have any special nicknames for you?
Oh,
Was it like a thing that you guys
I'm actually scared to mention. Nah, but I remember Remy, like, she used to, like, give me a lot of verbal, but not in a bad way because of the way I dressed. I'm pretty sure you might have heard of some of the things she called me and my dress style, but nah, I miss her. Like, to this day, I'm like, damn. Sometimes I wish like I could just hear her say one ridiculous thing about the way I dress. But you mentioned Miracle mentioned you started you're a co-founder of a foundation called Roscroft. So could you like just explain what that means? What Roscroft means?
So Roscroft stands for the Reme Onolememen Sickle Cell Research Foundation, and as you mentioned at the beginning, it's like a legacy project dedicated to Reme. So when she passed away, which was March 1st of 2023, there was just a lot of course at first it was definitely a lot of sadness and hurt, but then towards, I suppose, the end, like, I think grief as a family for us put like a battery in our backs in a way. We were just kind of like, there's just so many things about sickle cell that are just not progressing. There's so many things in the realm of sickle cell that need so much work in, and research is one of them. And as a medical student as well, like, I've seen so many instances where research has caused so many great results, where research has led to so many amazing findings, treatments, improved quality of life, and all these kind of things. But when we kind of looked at sickle cell in particular, when it came to research, there wasn't that much research available for sickle cell, and there's very slow advancements in sickle cell as well. Like, a lot of people to this day, like, you might come across someone and they might be like, oh my gosh, what's sickle cell? Whereas you wouldn't come across someone as frequently and they'd be like, oh my gosh, like, what's asthma? Or like, oh my gosh, what's cancer? Like, given these are the conditions I did mention, like cancer, asthma, heart problems, they can affect anyone. But sickle cell, when we think about it, it mainly affects like Afro-Caribbean people, African people, Indian people, and kind of those demographics. But with immigration and all those type of things, it's no longer a situation where those people are affected just in Africa. It's like they're affected in Ireland, they're affected in UK, they're living in the Netherlands, they're living in France. Like, they're all over the world, you know what I mean? Like, research actually states since 2022 that just under 8 million people are living with sickle cell globally. So is that really a rare condition? Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are saying, oh my gosh, it's a rare condition, but it's like at the launch, I don't know if you guys remember Sophie ago, she said something, and which I think is really key, and I remember till today, she said, people always say sickle cell is rare, but relevant to who? Do you know what I mean? So when we kind of looked at all these factors, and especially the fact that there's such little research in sickle cell, like, at the launch, I'd also mentioned, of the launch of the foundation, I'd also mentioned there's just over 33,000 research papers. There's probably like over 33,500 now.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, it was like 33,400 and something, in and around there.
Okay.
Research papers available on one of these research websites, PubMed, that has like loads of research articles from loads of different journals. But then when you hear that number and you think it's really, really big, but then you think about other conditions, like cystic fibrosis has almost twice that amount. So I think cystic fibrosis has like over 62,000 research papers. Cancer and cardiovascular diseases, I can't remember which order it was, but it's between 3 million and 6 million available research papers.
That's a
Okay.
Do you know
staggering
what I mean?
amount.
It's a
Okay.
very, very stark contrast between the two. And when we
Yeah.
think about it, it's like, look at all the advancements that you see in like cancer treatment. Okay, cancer, to be fair, is such a broad like condition.
Yeah.
But a lot of cancer conditions, they're finding treatments for it. They're finding solutions. They're finding ways to prolong life. The same with, for example, cardiovascular diseases. You find and you see these like treatment algorithms. You go to emergency departments. Everyone's aware of how to treat it. But when it comes to like conditions like sickle cell, it's like you see a patient and they're in an emergency department or in a hospital, and there's still questions of like, what is your condition? Like, what does
Yeah.
that even mean? Like, do you know what I mean? So because of that, we were kind of thinking, okay, what can we do to find advancements and stuff? And we were just like, research, that would be great. So that's kind of how it started. So the aim is to hopefully cause like advancements and progress sickle cell, but with research at the heart of all of it.
Interesting.
I like that, bringing awareness to
Yeah.
the
Yeah. So
You okay?
Yeah. I'm fine. I'm good.
Okay. So, of course, Remy went through some challenges in her life, and a lot of that was due to her sickle cell. So, what were some of the challenges that me and Miracle might not have seen that you were there to witness?
what did you guys see actually?
I remember this one time she was saying that she had to do her junior cert in the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was actually, I don't know, it's so crazy because when I look back and think about it, there's so many things that she did, and she like got through them so gracefully that when I look back and think, was it really a challenge for her? Like she did it with like a smile on her face. She did it
Yeah.
Always.
like she did it as if it was nothing.
She did
Always.
everything.
Yeah.
I remember there was this one time we were at a cinema, Tala Cinema, and we were coming back. She wasn't feeling so well that day, but I was asking her, "Are you sure you can walk this distance?" She's like, "Yeah." With a smile on her
She was
face,
like,
and she walked that distance like it was nothing.
exactly.
I looked at Remy that day. I was like, "Damn, girl, you is
I was
strong."
Like,
You know what I'm saying?
I was like, you know what you're doing.
For sure. I actually remember that I have like in my room the Polaroid picture is still there from the cinema day that you guys went to. It was
Oh
over.
yeah, she
the
took,
Polaroid picture is still
Yeah,
there.
and I was like, please,
No paparazzi, please.
don't take pictures, please.
Yeah, I think from what that like your guys' last outing together.
It was actually maybe no because
It was our second last outing.
second last because she was sick and then we visited her in the hospital, and then she got out of hospital, and then she came to visit us again, and then that was the last time.
Yeah.
After that, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely remembered the instance in the cinema, and then to bounce back to the junior cert situation. Yeah, she was sick in hospital. She was like in the hospital for quite a while at this time. She was going through extensive treatments. She looked completely different. Like her face was swollen because she was on like these type of medications. She was on steroids, and like her face was really swollen. Her legs were really swollen. At one point, she even started taking a new medication. She started like losing her hair. I don't know if you would have remembered and stuff. Yeah, so she had to like cut her hair and stuff like that. But yeah, through these times, she actually did her junior cert in the hospital. All of the subjects in the hospital, she literally did amazing.
Okay.
So that was like one instance, and then another instance, like I remember she was in the hospital for so long, like it was actually so difficult as a family as well. But I remember it was like she was on hospital probation or something.
Yeah.
It's like she would come home some weekends because they'd allow her to come home some weekends. Like it was a gradual process of her, I suppose, rehabilitation into health. So she would like be in the hospital for like a week, and then they'd be like, okay, you can like go to the shops for like an hour or something, but then afterwards you'd have to come back because they don't want her to contract any sicknesses and stuff. And then like afterwards she was eventually able to come home for like Saturdays, Sundays and stuff, and then she got discharged. I remember spending one of my birthdays in the hospital with her. So we used to visit her like all the time. But there's just definitely so many stories. I remember she got her spleen removed during this period as well, because it was just like really big, and like it just was so affected by her sickle cell.
By the way, if you don't mind me asking, what's a spleen?
Okay, so your spleen is basically like this organ that
I don't know, guys. I'm sorry.
No, it's good to ask questions. It's good to ask questions. So your spleen is like, in the easiest way to describe it, it's like this organ that basically helps preventing infections. So some of your cells that are used in the immune system come from the spleen as well, and like communicate with the spleen a lot. But yeah, because in sickle cell sometimes you're more prone to like infections and stuff, your spleen can get very commonly injured because of that. So a lot of the medication that would be taken, well, not a lot, but like one of the medications that would be taken is to basically help prevent infections. But yeah, so spleens can like in sickle cell can commonly they can get pretty big, and at a point in time sometimes when they get pretty big and when they get pretty damaged as well, because the spleen still has vessels going to it, and these like sickle cells, like, remember I said they can like clump together and they can damage organs. Sometimes it can like also affect your spleen, so sometimes when your spleen is too damaged, then they just have to remove it, because it's better to like have no spleen than like a spleen that doesn't work at all and can't prevent infections basically. I hope that was a good explanation of the spleen.
Well, now at least I know what a spleen is, and I'll never ask the question
because
again.
when you asked that question, I was just like spleen. Because you know when you think of so many organs, like the heart like has such a clear function, even the liver, but the spleen, it's just like it's one of those organs that are just in the background.
It's like the producer of a podcast.
Yeah, it's like heart, lungs, brain, spleen.
Yeah.
Shout out the producers.
Before that explanation, I thought it was a little part of your spine.
Cause of this acid.
The
name. Yeah, I can understand. It can be misleading.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sure a lot of people could be confused on what a spleen was. You know what I mean? But I think sometimes when you're like not involved in a certain, I don't know, sector or whatever, like there's so many, for example, finance terms or business terms I would be so unaware of, because that's not my specialty.
That's not your expertise.
Yeah. So I'm just throwing around like spleen and this and that, thinking that you might just know like, this does this. I actually completely understand.
I was so clueless. I was like, huh? So confused. But
Miracle's probably thinking she got her spine removed.
Oh my god, that's so. I shouldn't laugh.
That explanation about a spleen is really brought some clarity. How did Reme's life help you with yours?
I feel like. Sorry, do you want to say something?
Like, how did it impact your life for the better?
So I definitely think like my younger brother had made this point, and he was just like he's not too sure how he's dealing with obviously the grief of the situation, because before my sister passed away, I never experienced grief really. Like I've heard of people like passing away, like maybe like a parent's friend, but I never had like my own intimate relationship just kind of suddenly be taken away from your life. So like that was really difficult, like from going to like 0 to 100
real quick.
exactly.
For me, nah.
Yeah, it was so like it was just a crazy difference, but I feel like she definitely taught me like number one, life is short. I know that's such a cliche, but life is actually really short.
So true, though.
Like it actually really is. Like you need to definitely do the things that
so true.
you want to. Like what you guys are doing, like that's great. Like Reme, for example, we were talking about books earlier, but Reme as well. She always wanted to write her own book and publish it.
She was telling me about that actually, because I remember there was one time where I asked Reme, like, because she knew about the podcast, I was like, maybe sometime in the future you can write like a little blog about the podcast. She's like, hell yeah. So
she was so into writing, like she did things like even the fact that your guys' podcast is called Challenge Your Limits. Like she definitely like challenged her limits a lot. She definitely taught me that anything you really put your mind to, you can genuinely do it. And there's going to be a lot of people telling you can't. There's going to be a lot of people telling you like, you know, maybe you should, or maybe you should do this instead. Like settle for that, settle for this. But like, no, like always shoot for the stars. Do you know what I mean? And then I would definitely say, just be happy. Like, don't take certain things too serious. Yeah, because I think the impact that she left was like, it's crazy because every single time someone speaks about her, like I'd say, if you don't know her, the first thing that you probably hear anyone say is, oh my gosh, she had such an amazing smile. Oh my gosh, she was such the... You know what I mean?
But the thing is, she did.
She actually did.
She had such a memorable laugh. To this day, I can still hear Remy in the back laughing.
Honestly, like her laugh was so like, it's one of those laughs, it's
so
so
infectious.
distinct. Yeah.
I said to Remy one time, you laugh like such an auntie. I'm like, and she was saying, how dare you call me an auntie? I
I can imagine her saying that.
I said, I didn't call you an auntie. I said, you laugh like an auntie. And then she hung up, and then I called her back again and apologized.
But yeah, I think that it definitely taught me like about being also cautious of certain things. Not cautious of certain things that you do, but in what you do, trying to help people, laugh with them, smile with them, because I think those acts of kindness and just being a light in people's life, that clearly is what people really remember. So, yeah, I think that's... What did you guys learn?
Well, the biggest thing I learned from Remy is patience and forgiveness. That's such a lesson that she taught me, because there was one point where I didn't talk to Remy for a while. And then when we got back talking, she was like, yo, man, you really hurt me when you didn't talk to me. I understood that you were busy with, like, junior cert and all that, but I needed you as a friend, and you weren't there. But at the end of all that, she said, I will forgive you, because that's not the person I am. So that kind of taught me that if someone does something wrong towards you, you shouldn't take it. Although they hurt you, you shouldn't take it too much to the heart. You should just kind of like give them another chance and be willing to grow that friendship or that relationship or whatever ship it is you're sailing. Scholarship. Yeah.
She told me a lot of things about myself that I never knew actually existed. Then she told me patience as well, that with time things will get better, and that where we are now is the perfect place for us now to grow. Nothing lasts forever, i.e. tough times never last. Uh, and also she taught me that reflection is a good part of personal growth. Like, if you don't reflect at the end of the day, you're likely to make the same mistakes tomorrow. I have this quote on my phone. It's actually in my wallpaper. It says today is another day. Don't repeat yesterday's mistakes. In other words, make new mistakes. Make new mistakes, grow, and yeah, just try not to repeat yesterday. That's what Remy did. She always put one foot in front of the other. Never looking back in the past. She always said, the past is for learning. The present is for growing. On the future will handle itself. Whatever you do now will affect tomorrow. Whatever you do tomorrow, you don't have to worry about tomorrow. Just worry about now, and then tomorrow will handle itself. So yeah.
That sounds exactly like something that she would say. Yeah, she had a lot of inspirational quotes up her sleeve.
She was very wise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Like, I remember she would just, every single time I come back home, she'd be like, oh my gosh, I missed you, this, that. And then she'd go on a rant. Not a rant, but like a whole discussion telling me about, oh my gosh, have you heard about this thing called weaponized incompetence?
Yo,
Have you
She used to bring up the most randomest words.
words that you'd never, there's
I'm-
words
I'm
that,
like,
you know
I'm
when,
sat there thinking, I'm like, Remy, like, I know you're a dictionary, but girl, like,
you know when, you know,
weaponized incompetence.
no, that was, because I'll never forget that one, because that was the day she said it. I said, you said what? Like, I looked at her and I was like, what you, because I was
Okay.
like, I think I was
Yeah.
in like first or second year of university, and she said it to me, and she explained what it was, and I was just like, okay, that makes sense. You know those things, like, things happen, but like, there's a term for it, for them, and you're just like, I didn't know that had a definition.
yeah.
Whatever those stuff were. Like, there's also a definition for like women and men that date people in particular income, like, tax
Right,
brackets,
yeah.
and she knew what it was. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a specific one for women, there's a specific one for men, and I vividly remember her explaining it. I had no idea it had a name.
It's,
but sure.
Yeah.
it's just the randomest things that she'll come up with. Not like she would know, but she'll explain it in such a way that I'm here scratching my head like steam is literally, my brain is cooked.
My brain is fried. My brain is not braining.
No, literally.
Or the time. Did you ever experience this? The time that you would answer a question. It's just one word, one answer. Yeah? If you would reply in a whole paragraph.
I think that's in our genetics. 'Cause
I'm
I
not-
did the exact same thing.
I'm like, yes or no? Do you want pizza?
Yeah, I want pizza, but only if it's barbecue based and this. And that.
Exactly.
Like, just yes or no. But anyways, Remy was honestly the best. But I think that's all we have time for today.
But one last thing.
Okay, that's not all we have time for.
Do you have any words of wisdom, any thoughts, or any more questions?
You guys are putting me on this. Words of wisdom.
Ooh.
Can I quote what you just said? What would I even say? I don't know. I feel like life is too short to not get involved in whatever it is that you actually want to get involved in. Like, it's too short to not I don't know, find what you really love. I think that's a challenging journey, but the things that you find passionate in will somehow impact someone else, and that's somehow going to have this like ripple effect of eventually, in my optimistic opinion, changing the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think to sum it up, be the change that you want to see in the world. Yeah, basically.
I like that. Leave a change. That's editor, please put that in big capital letters.
Okay.
This is about the life of Reme, her legacy, what she stood for, and she brought us all together here.
Yeah. Like my favorites, like my second favorite Netflix show used to say is Manifest, by the way.
Great show.
They kept on showing this world like we're all connected. It's all connected. Some way, somehow we found ourselves sitting in the same room as like it was meant to be. So I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm happy, and I appreciate every single one of you for being here today.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys are doing a great job. Can't wait to see where it goes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. And we have to thank Remy as well for watching over us. Alright guys, I think that's all we have time for today. I want to thank you guys, the listeners, for tuning into the CYL podcast. I want to thank my lovely co-host, Miracle. And I want to thank Debbie for coming onto the show. Thank you. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast from, please go there and drop a follow, a like, a subscription, and also be sure to check out the other episodes and also follow Rosscroft on Instagram. I've been your host, Jay. Don't limit your challenge your limits.
That's it.
Thank you.
Hey.